You're listening to Discutafel, the podcast on eco-friendly gardening and permaculture. Welcome to this episode of Discutafel, the first Dutch podcast on eco-friendly gardening and permaculture. Today is May 23rd, 2019, and this is edition 46. My name is Yvonne Smit and I am your host. Listen today to another episode in English. We planned to have a talk about a Dutch initiative on community-supported agriculture, but you'll hear more about that in a future edition of Discutafel podcast. This one covers a subject which we talked about already in our recent Dutch edition. But hey, what do I hear now? Where are we? Discutafel's Discus special on garden show Gardenista is online as from May 16th, but unfortunately for you it's in Dutch, so that's why I decided to give you a small summary in English. And perhaps in a couple of years' time we might find you here as well, because the festival is getting more professional, bigger and even prettier than now. But I'm proud to say that Discutafel is the sponsor, one of the sponsors of the very first edition of Gardenista. Discu coverage. Discutafel is traveling again, and this time I'm in a garden show, which could be a UK, a British garden show indeed. It's on the grounds of a 13th century castle, Kasteel op Hemert, in the Netherlands, and I'm surrounded by large trees, flower stands, flower tools, lots of people who are walking around very relaxed, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the flowers and the plants and the garden equipment which you can buy here. And at the background is the castle. It's very pretty, surrounded by water. It's a real British atmosphere here. It's the Dutch Association, Garden Association Groei en Bloei, which initiated this show. It's the first edition of the show, and they publicly stated that it's their aim to become of the quality of the Chelsea Flower Show, the well-known Chelsea Flower Show. Of course, in this first edition, we're not here yet. We're not at this point yet, but it looks very, very promising. Now, as you know, Discutafel podcast is about eco-friendly things, and I must say Gardenista is not especially eco-friendly, but we decided to sponsor this event immediately when we heard about it, because it's the first event of this kind in the Netherlands, which aims to bring green organizations together. It's not only about growing plants or selling garden equipment. It's also about music, food, entertainment. It has some quality, you should say. Perhaps it's not for the masses of public, but for the people who are fine-tuning on green information and inspiration. It's the 15th of May 2019, and here in the Netherlands it's a gorgeous day. The sky is blue, the sun is shining, and all the big trees here in the park, in the castle park, are laughing and crying their hearts out because it's spring at last. It's one of the first rather pleasant days after a few very cool, not to speak cold, weeks. And these plants are enjoying the nice weather as much as all the people here do. What also makes it special here is the flower arrangements. I'm not sure who made these arrangements, but they're very pretty, like artwork really. Groei en Bloei is a Dutch association of volunteers, enthusiasts about gardening, and making flower arrangements is one of their things. They're famous for it. They're organizing championships each year in flower arrangements. So they show what they can here at this show. In the castle garden there are various performances. Perhaps you hear a singer in the background, and people are enjoying the music on wooden chairs here on the lawn, which is a very, well, British view, British side. If you listen to this from the UK, you think it's very familiar for you, but I must say that it's not really Dutch atmosphere here, but I like it. They intend to have this show every year. It's 5 days, from Wednesday through the weekend, through a Sunday. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good idea. Even on the first day, there are enough visitors to make the conclusion that it's a success. The castle gardens themselves are not too big, and from the ecological point of view, not very special. I'm most impressed by the very big, large, old trees here around the lawn. But I think the biodiversity needs some amendments to make it interesting for more creatures here. In the weekend, the Gardenista garden fair is also a family fair. Suddenly I see donkeys here in the castle garden with children on it. There are more places where you can have lunch or buy a cup of coffee. And I have time now to examine the places where you can buy plants. Most of these cellars are situated underneath very big trees. It's very pretty, a little bit of shade and sunshine, double shade on the floor, and it's a very nice atmosphere. At first I see a specialist in roses, and then I see a specialist in garden plants for the shade. The atmosphere here is very relaxed. People are looking at the plants and the sellers talking to them. It's all very easy atmosphere. I like that. In my own garden I have a couple of geraniums, and I'm not sure whether one of the geraniums I have is a Ingwersen variety. It's a light purple color of the flower, so I made a picture of it to make a comparison with the plant I have back home. The next one is the world of delphinium. It's quite impressive, all these varieties of delphinium here. Some of them are in flower, usually bluish or purple, dark purple. And his neighbor is selling clematis, also most of them in flower. No, that's not true. Ha! That's a mistake. The labels are colored, but most of the plants are green, which is okay when you buy plants, isn't it? Underneath the chestnut tree, the flowering chestnut tree, I see beautiful flower arrangements. The Groei en Bloei is famous for it. Lots of people, amateurs, who make flower arrangements. Very nice. It's not my cup of tea, to be honest, but I do recognize the quality. When I am on garden fairs like this, it's always a thought with me that most of those sellers do not have a clear sign of their names and addresses, or websites, or shops, or whatever. How do I recognize one from the other? It's a little bit of a marketing question, I think. And there we have a specialist in agapanthus. When you are a plant enthusiast like me, it's difficult to resist the temptation to buy plants. But if you are a plant enthusiast like me, you also have the same problem: not enough room in the garden. And just around the corner I'm confronted with a cardboard version, I should say, of the Mr. Monty Dunn, the famous British gardener, organic gardener from BBC Gardener's World. And he's standing next to the Gardener's World magazine stand here on this garden fair. Gardener's World magazine in Dutch, a Dutch magazine. As I understand, most of the articles in this magazine are translated from the English version into the Dutch one, and some articles have been added in the interest of the Dutch readers. As you might imagine, some visitors like to make photographs of themselves next to this Monty Dunn here at the garden fair.
Discu finish.
Well, this was a pleasant visit to the very first edition of garden show Gardenista here in the Netherlands. We hope you enjoyed our coverage. But it was far from complete, this coverage. There was lots of entertainment, also for children. There was high tea on the castle terrace, and there were a couple of spectacular gardens, show gardens, some of them designed with sustainability or biodiversity in mind. please go to discutafel.nl for pictures and links to the Garden Show website. Thank you very much for listening. Take a free subscription and new episodes will be automatically downloaded to your device. We publish English shows every 4 weeks or so, but we might have a break in summer, we'll see. Currently, we expect the next English episode to be online from the 13th of June. In the meantime, let's go outside. And until next time.